Back to the new developments in the Supreme Court confirmation battle. Christine Blasey Ford says she is willing to speak with the Judiciary Committee about her accusations of sexual assault against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. A topic likely to come up: how reliable is someone's memory when alcohol is involved? CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, breaks it down. Sanjay.
Well, Anna, I think there's a lot of assumptions when it comes to memory and alcohol, and oftentimes those assumptions are wrong. Let me start off by telling you this, that a lot of the research comes from witnesses to crimes. They took people who were intoxicated witnesses to crimes and sober witnesses to crimes, and they basically found that in the short term, if people were questioned right after a crime had occurred, there was not a lot of difference in terms of recalling details between someone who was mild to moderately intoxicated and someone who was sober. That was in the short term. So that surprised a lot of people. Now, there is something known as blackout drunk, which is not the same as passed out drunk. Blackout drunk is when you can be talking, you can be walking, you can be interacting with people, but essentially you're totally amnestic to it, meaning you'll have no memory of it. There's also something known as gray out, which is essentially islands of memory. But basically, you're still really not remembering things. There's also the component of time. How much time has passed since the event? And this is really important here, because I think when you look at how memory is actually encoded, you realize that alcohol can have a real impact on a certain aspect of memory. So when we remember things, we look, we see, we hear, we feel, and those sensory inputs are immediately transferred into short-term memory. That happens pretty quickly, and that's why people, again, who are intoxicated can remember things pretty well. But it's that next phase, going from short-term to long-term, where alcohol sort of acts like a sledgehammer. And it's why people can remember things so vividly one day, and then a few days later really have no recollection of it at all, because the memories were never in those long-term stores. So Anna, that's just a little bit of an idea of how alcohol does impact memory, both in the short term and in the long term. Anna?
Interesting. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Gupta.